My name is Ned Peterson. I'm a horse trainer in Norway. We're trying something to try to fulfill the dream and to come to Royal Ascot.
It's amazing to see this superstar horse, who's officially the highest rated turf horse in America.
Racing in the UK is the best in the world. If I think I have a few horses that will be competitive in some races, then of course I would love to take part in those races.
In the very early days with Asfoora, there was absolutely no indication that she'd be a good horse at any stage.
My name is Ned Peterson. I'm a horse trainer in Norway. This is where we are. It's all the trainers are more or less around this place. It will be about probably 200 horses all in Norway. We look at Scandinavia as one circuit. It's not just Norway or Sweden or Denmark. It's we use all the tracks here. We travel more or less every week. A lot of nice horses here. To go around here in the winter, you don't learn a lot, to be honest. Well, you can ski. You'll be good at skiing, but horse racing, you won't learn a lot here.
Drar undan tillsammans med Carlos Lopez och segrar en säker seger. 11 Warsocks inkommer som vinnare.
We want to save this horse to take him to the Bayonne race and do a little bit different than we've done before. And a horse with a lot of quality. And I said, well, we might sacrifice something else, but at least we're trying something and try to fulfill the dream and to come to Royal Ascot. Royal Ascot is probably one of the most prestigious meetings around the world, and for us it's a big privilege and honor to go there. Well, it's a little bit of a dream, you know, you want to go there. But then again, you don't want to go with just to be in the program and see where you're ending up to. So it's nice to go there with a horse we think that actually can be competitive. I do think there's more in him to come, and we've been very patient with him and let him just grow up and mature. We're going there with a bit of hope for a good run and then see where that takes us. But definitely the horse is in good shape. We'll leave Norway here and we'll stay one night in Denmark. The next day we drive down to Holland and then we stay a night there and then we'll be picked up by English box 48 hours at least, you know, probably more to get him there. So it's a long trip. We of course are optimistic because we believe we have a good horse, and but we're also being realistic, so we know how hard it is. But I would say be in the top 3 or something. I mean, I think it will be a massive achievement, and from the whole yard, people are working harder every day to make these results. I like the experience. I like to explore. One of my owners once said to me, "You have to go somewhere in the winter because we cannot have you going around here because you'll be kicking the walls." I like things happening, and I like to have a goal, something to achieve, and you know, to challenge myself. And we're all looking forward. It's going to be a fantastic experience.
It's amazing to see this superstar horse, who's officially the highest rated turf horse in America and has come over to run at Royal Ascot. It's just a fantastic, exciting experience.
I'm Josie Lynch and I'm looking after Carl Spackler in Newmarket. I have to pinch myself every morning, like I'm so lucky to get to sit on a horse like this. He's actually a real dude, like he's settled into Newmarket so well. He just plods down the road and he's real chill, like he's almost like a puppy. But as soon as you get on the gallop, he knows what he's doing.
And they're off in the FanDuel 4-star day.
Ultimately, he's going to go to Australia, to Kiramar, and hopefully he'll win huge races over there, and then he'll become a fantastic stallion for Yulong.
Ottoman Fleet with plenty of work to do, and More Than Looks is revving up in the center, but Carl Spackler has opened up. What a tremendous athlete Carl Spackler is as he dominates the FanDuel 4-star day.
He's kind of doing the full lap of the world, really, isn't he? Yeah, I will be nervous, but I've got faith in Carl.
The horse has been sourced out of the Chad Brown yard, so he's flown here from Saratoga at considerable expense, and obviously they're going to have to supplement him for the Queen Anne, which again is more expense, but if he were able to win the race, it'd be a fantastic achievement for him and great on his CV.
I'm so used to travelling horses for Kieran all over Australia. I see horses come off long trips and he just come off like he'd only come from down the road really. So yeah, straight into his feet, looked great. He's strong, he's a bull.
why not take some horses abroad and, see how it goes. Racing in the UK is the best in the world. My name is Mohammed Al Attiyah. I'm an owner, breeder, trainer in my country, in Qatar. If I think I have a few horses that will be competitive in some races, then of course, I would love to take part in those races. So yeah, during the summer, as you know, we don't have any racing back home. I thought take the two nice horses I have over to the UK and run them a few times and have fun with them. Since I was a child, I always loved racing, and my father has been a supporter of it. So he bought me my first horse long time ago. It was with Jassim Ghazali. He trained him. So yeah, and then it started, That's how we started off. I think everything from breeding to, seeing the horses, grow from the day they're born to when they get to being broken and ridden and getting them to the race. Especially being an owner, breeder and a trainer, you see the whole thing happen from the start, which I find interesting. I got to a stage where I thought it wasn't enough to be just an owner and breeder, so I thought I might as well train my horses in Qatar. It went well since I started, we've been having good results. Both of them were purchased as breeze-up horses and have been sent to Joseph O'Brien as 2-year-olds, and then with the view to shipping them to Qatar in the winter. So that's how we've been doing it, and it's been working well. Asfoora has won 2 big races this winter in Qatar, being the Sheikh Joan Rifle and the Emir's Shalfa. So 2 big races, and then he ran 6 days after the Emir Shalfa in Saudi Arabia, still finished 5th and was a bit unlucky, I'd say. Sahel Star only ran his first race in January and has run 5 times, won twice. He ran from 6 furlongs to 10.5 furlongs, so he's quite versatile with distances, but I think his best trip would be a mile. There's a lot of prestigious meetings here which people love and enjoy, like Royal Ascot, Glorious Goodwood, Champions Day. I think these, people from the Middle East would, dream to have runners in those meetings, which, basically, they come to the UK for prestige more than prize money. I've always enjoyed watching British racing, especially. So yeah, been watching it for a while. There's no easy race at Royal Ascot. To be there I think is an achievement, So if the horses run well, we'll be happy. If they win, even better. Of course, we try, and we have, we'd like to try our best to win, but you shouldn't be really disappointed if you don't, because everyone there is trying to do the same thing, So if you're there and you have horses who can run and be competitive, I think that's an achievement itself.
The horse either doesn't run, or whichever you want, I don't care. Like, we've come all this way, we need to get the horse saddled up before we go and do it. I remember standing there, we were about 100 metres before the winning post in the grandstand, and I just remember her walking the gates.
Go! They're racing for the King Charles III Stakes, and Rogue Lightning reared slightly as the stalls opened. He's one of the slowest ones away.
And I changed from hoping to run well to just hoping she didn't embarrass us. It was just a real matter of the first seconds was just, I just don't want you to run last.
And Twilight Cause is the back marker of that group on the left, who are in front here.
The first half of the race unfolded beautifully. She began well, which is always a trick with her. She can be slow out. She followed the right horse in regional. You could see Asheen Murphy looking for somewhere to go. That horse wasn't taking her anywhere sort of halfway through the race, and she had to hook inside and cover a bit of extra ground to meet up with the other division. Sort of loomed up, and by that stage they were going past us, and she'd hit the front, and it was just everything erupted.
Asfoora coming with a strong challenge now. It's Big Edge to Asfoora, Believing Makarova, regional nearest to us. Here's Asfoora, the light blue sleeve. She's grabbed the lead from Big Edge, and Asfoora has gone on to win the King Charles III.
We went from hoping she wouldn't embarrass us to hoping she'd win and hoping she'd won, because I never saw the last probably 100 metres of the race. I was just engulfed in a scrum. I'm Henry Dwyer. I trained Asfoora, who we were lucky enough to win the King Charles III Stakes with at Ascot last year. We've got about 45 horses here at Ballarat. We've got a little farm on the beach down at St Leonards where we train a few horses that need the beach environment. I can't remember my Year 9 maths classes, whatever the opposite of linear is, but non-linear maybe. There might have been a non-linear path of my training career. All through school I was right into it, sitting up on the studbook website every night as a teenager, just going through pedigrees and sort of scraped through uni and came out the other side with a degree that I was probably never going to use in any sort of shape or form. And got to the end of uni and thought, well, I hated that and I loved going down the stables, and by that stage I was, you know, working in a good capacity for, I think it was Robert Smurden and Russell Cameron and Dan O'Sullivan down at Flemington. So I've, you know, gone from, you know, never really touching a horse when I was 15 or 16 to, you know, being a, well, in inverted commas, a proper trainer. I think I had 2 Group 1 winners within about a year of training, and once again thought how easy is this? But then the Group 1 winners dried up and I thought, well, this isn't as much fun as it sort of was early doors. So yeah, Asfoora come along at a handy time, sort of 8 or 9 years down the track. In the very early days with Asfoora, there was absolutely no indication that she'd be a good horse at any stage. I looked at her at the sales, I just couldn't have her. She was immature, she was backward, there was nothing particularly likeable about her. She was passed in subsequently. Akram rung me up and said he had 2 fillies passed in from the same sale and he'd like me to come up to the farm and pick which one I wanted to train. Rung up Akram on the way home and said, thanks very much for the opportunity, Akram. I'd love to train that unencumbered filly. She's a really nice filly. And he sort of paused and he was a bit despondent and he said, I thought you'd choose a Flying Artie filly. I said, Akram, it's fine. I've got whatever you want me to train, I'm more than happy to train. I'm just perplexed about why you got me up here to choose. He said, I thought you'd choose that filly. And so anyway, she ended up in my care, not because I wanted to buy her at the sales, I didn't. Not because I wanted to pick her out of a paddock of 2 horses, 50% chance I picked her and I didn't. But fate plays a part in most things, I think. It's a really good story from humble beginnings of how it's not all about buying $1 million yearlings, it's just about getting the right horse in the stable and looking after them and giving them a chance. The horses that are about to go out and work, they stand on this side. Once again, you've got the heaters there just to keep them a little bit warmer. You can see the hill there, that's Mount Pisgah, so back in the day that was an active volcano, so when it erupted, we've ended up with all this red volcanic soil here and it just gets very muddy and cluggy in winter and gets packed up in their feet. So she's now started to grow a winter coat and it's just, as I said, it's just cosmetic, but you get over there, they're a bit hotter, they're a bit warmer. She's a buzzy filly as it is. You get the 30, 32 degree days over there. She's coming from, 11 degree days here. It's a bigger change for them. So you get your barriers there, that's the start of it. 200 metre mark, 400 metre mark. This sort of the gap between our property and the next property was a train line, and the train line came right through here where we are now and up the to the pathway where the horses go over to the racecourse. So back in the day that would have had dozens of punters hanging off the rafters and the sides of it, and when people used to go to the races it was would have been a packed house, so the train from Ballarat to Miners Rest. I'd been to Ascot twice previously, once as an 18-year-old backpacker. I went over there and I was in the whatever the lowest enclosure you could get on a budget, and I think that was before they put the new grandstand in and renovated it, so I saw the old Ascot. But yeah, I got an appreciation of it, and it's just the pomp and the ceremony and the pageantry, it's just an amazing experience. Firstly, without a horse, just being there is amazing, but once we factored in the horse last year and the people you meet and the doors that opened for us, it was just a remarkable experience from start to finish. We had a big group of owners and friends there. The day was a bit of a whirlwind, but we were down in the pre-parade ring saddling her up, and I was literally doing up the girth. Someone came and tapped me on the shoulder, I think it was Adrian Bowmont, and said, oh, the king would like to see you now. I was halfway through saddling the horse up. I think I said to Adrian, I just need a couple of minutes here. Just give me a couple of minutes. I need to get the bridle on. I'll get the earmuffs on. Once the horse is out, I'll be down there, no worries. And he said, no, you can't make the king wait. You've got to go now. I said, well, the horse either doesn't run or I go and meet the king. Whichever you want, I don't care. Like, we've come all this way. We need to get the horse saddled up before we go and do it. So we did that. Raced down there. He was, waiting there for us, and Camilla was next to him, and yeah, it was just an amazing experience. There's a really, well, not a good photo, but a unique photo, you might say, of The King and I, looking at the race book, at the stage we were talking about the horse and where she was trained and her form and stuff, and we both had our hats on, almost like we're equals or something, and not many people have got a photo on them in the presence of the King with their hat on, so that's a nice one on the wall at home. And he was really good actually, very low key, easy to talk to, laid back. I think I said to him before the race that absolute pleasure to meet you and a real thrill obviously, but it'd be much better if we could meet you after the race when you're presenting the trophy, that'd be better. And so he had a little chuckle and said, we'll see if we can make that happen. And then when I saw him after the race, he said, I told you we can do this, we can make it happen. It's hard to quantify enjoyment as a thing, but I just said to a few people, just think of the most amount of fun you can possibly have and times it by 3. Like, it was just an amazing experience. Ascot was great, obviously, and the excitement of that, but just pinching yourself every morning, waking up going, I've got a horse good enough to be here. I'm rubbing shoulders with the elite of Newmarket trainers, and they're asking me questions about how I train her and this sort of thing, which is just a phenomenal situation to be in. When it all ended last year, we obviously went to Ascot and then Goodwood and York, and there was a bit of a sombre feeling after York because there was a fair chance that might have been the end of it. And then all of a sudden she sort of had a few issues and she's come back and she's won first up. It wasn't the biggest race ever, it was a Group 3 race in Adelaide, but it just showed that she was back and had that will to win.
Asfoora in front, welcome back to Australia.
We're going to take her to Flemington on Friday, she can have a nice little jump out there. And then, all roads lead to Ascot first up over there. So there's a lot that sort of goes into it, thinking and logistics-wise about how to get her there in perfect order. We've only got the 2 weeks before the race over there, so we need to have her fully fit and ready to go before she leaves here, just so she can spend 2 weeks settling in over there. A lot of fate is involved. It could have been any one of 20 trainers that ended up with that horse. I didn't want her, so luckily Akram rung me back and insisted that I train her and didn't go elsewhere, and luckily everything's gone to plan ever since. And it's incredibly hard to get a horse to win a race at Ballarat Racecourse, which is 400 metres from our back door. You can get that many things go wrong, that many setbacks. We took a horse overseas for 4 months and never had one issue. It was just amazing.